inside the off stump. Oh, he's caught it! I don't believe it! Tom Kohler-Cadmore has caught the most magnificent catch. At short third man, it's the end of Daniel Sams, and Somerset have won the Vitality Blast 2023. They've bowled Essex out for 131.
Hello there, you're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd, and joining me this evening, I've got the president of Somerset County Cricket Club, Sir Peter Wanless, and the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson. So what are we coming off then? We're coming off a defeat to the champions-elect Surrey, and we're on the verge of, what's it called now? The Royal London Metro Bank Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, Spacely Sprockets, National Tyres One Day Cup. Gibbo's frozen. Well, we'll leave Gibbo to reconnect, Pete. I know you were down there for quite a lot of the Surrey game, as was I.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always got to be tough to taking on the league leaders like that. But again, Somerset just found themselves with in a hole 4 for 57 or 57 for 4. So I've been listening to Jim Maxwell too much on TMS, giving the score the wrong way around. 57 for 4. Normally, that translates to Tom Abel and James Rue and Casey Aldridge et al. Digging us out of the proverbial and getting a decent first innings score, but not this week, unfortunately. Tom Laws, Surrey's excellent young seam bowling prospect, chief tormentor with 4 for 41, and really only Tom Kohler-Cadmore, who I thought was quite circumspect in his innings. He batted with a lot more responsibility than he's shown in previous knocks in the Championship. He made 59, but other than that, it was a pretty sorry batting card.
Yeah, well, 57 for 4 was quite good compared with our second innings, wasn't it? Where we were 28 for 4. So I think we were outplayed, weren't we, in every department, pretty much throughout the entire game. I mean, there are one or two kind of glimpses of decent play, but on the whole, it was a trouncing.
It was. I mean, I thought Kohler-Cadmore played pretty well. I asked him about whether he was deliberately more circumspect than usual. He said no, it was just the Surrey bowling was so good that he just had to play every ball on his merits. They just weren't giving him the opportunity to play his shots. And when, of course, he did try and play a crashing off drive of Tom Laws, he got an inside edge and was bowled for 59. So we lost it on the first day, just like we won the game against Northants by scoring 350 on a tricky wicket on the first day. We lost the game against Surrey by only scoring 173 on a pretty good wicket on the first day. And from that first day, there was honestly no way back on that pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I think I might have said to you, or certainly said to somebody after the end of the first day, it had echoes of that Nottinghamshire game where we were bowled up for a similarly low score, around the 170 mark, and then closed. Notts were within touching distance. I think they were about 20, 25 behind with 6 wickets in hand. We got them all out then for about 210, and then just, the rest is history, as they say, but not today. And it is, to be fair, it was not exactly the first choice Somerset bowling lineup, missing 2 international bowlers in Lewis Gregory and Peter Siddle, who sort of seemed to forget would have been available for that game.
Josh Davey as well.
Oh, Josh Davey and Jack Leach, blimey, 4.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
And then Casey Aldridge went off with a side strain.
He only bowled 9.4 overs. Yeah.
And Craig got progressively more angry as the game went on, and normally channels his anger into some wickets, but I'm afraid this time round it just seemed to he went further and further off the rails, didn't he, as Jamie started hitting the ball around the place. And so Matt Henry was brilliant, but beyond that, not a lot to write home about.
Yeah, I think there was I forget who it was, one of the left-handers. It was a really sharp slip chance to Sean Dixon, and it almost burst through his hands. And I'll tell you what, if Gareth Southgate had seen how Craig punted his bowling marker, he absolutely hoofed it. He would have been in the World Cup squad, never mind going off to the other competition for the next month. You touched on Matt Henry there, Pete. I mean, he's been utterly phenomenal for Somerset in the in the short space of time he's been here. Complete opposite to Cameron Bancroft. Bancroft out, Henry in. What a difference. Took 6 for 80. Didn't bowl in the second innings, which we'll come on to later. I've got a few. I want to come off my long run a little bit on that one, or my medium run, shall we say. But 6 for 80. I mean, I kept, 30, 35 championship wickets. 31 wickets in the blast. What a great bit of business, Pete. And how did you set that deal up then? Was that you?
Yeah, different class, wasn't he? Wonderful. I mean, I did think with my Kent connections that he was a great signing, and of course I think we've talked about this before, but Kent really screwed up their negotiations with him, because I think they thought he was going to come to them without needing to play in the blast, but that was very important to him, and they'd already signed Kane Richardson, who did very little for them at all. So there's a little bit of a kind of Kent connection, but other than that, no, great piece of business by Sargent, and of course he also, I guess, was the connection which got Ish Sodhi in at short notice to replace Roloff as well. So we've got a lot to thank him for.
Can I just correct you there, to play instead of Roloff, because Roloff is irreplaceable. Nobody can replace him. So I mean, it's a really good point, because I mean, in anything, a personal recommendation is the easiest way to sell somebody on something, whether it's a gardener, a roofer, an electrician, or a county cricket club that you want to go and play for. And if Henry's able just quickly WhatsApp Ish Sodhi, pick up the phone to him, whatever, say, look, it's a good place, this, you do well to come here. That in effect has got us Ish Sodhi, and getting Ish Sodhi has helped us to win the blast. So from all counts, it's just been a phenomenal overseas signing, and it's just disappointing potentially with the way that the schedule is looking for 2024, that he's not going to have much of a meaningful window to come and play for us, because it's difficult, because you've got the T20 World Cup in, was that June? So they don't know when they're going to be playing the blast, and obviously he's got all his overseas commitments with New Zealand and everything like that, his international commitments, should I say. So it'd be tricky, but we take him for the odd game here and there at least, wouldn't we?
Well, Jason Kerr said that they will try to get him back. And when I asked Matt himself, he was non-committal. Said, it all depends on the international schedule, which is fair enough. But it'd be a great return signing if we can get him. I thought he was just such a good example as well to the younger players. The way he went about his business on the field, he got through his overs quickly. He was up for every single spell. He wanted to bowl, and for the most part, he bowled, really, really well. It was top class international seam bowling, and he brought the best out of Craig Overton as well. Yeah. The difference in with Craig Overton when they first bowled together up at Old Trafford was really, really marked. And Craig was a different bowler for all of the games that he played with Matt Henry. And we're going to miss him in September.
We certainly are. I can't remember him having a bad spell in the Championship. I mean, obviously in the blast there will be days where you go around the park.
Just that one over, wasn't it? The 17th over against Surrey,
Surrey.
That he went for 31. But other than that, he was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, he came down to South Devon for Max Waller's testimony. We never met Max, gave up his time for the dinner, did a lovely Q&A with him. Such a lovely guy. I don't think I've ever met a bad Kiwi. They're all really sound, solid, decent blokes. So, yeah, roll on 24 and roll on an early announcement of the signing of Matt Henry. You never know, he might decide to retire from international cricket and see out his days in Somerset. Him and the family could emigrate to Taunton, settle down. I'm sure you know a few lovely places in your neck of the woods where he could settle down, Gibbo, in his international retirement, to see out his days playing for Somerset.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, New Zealand's a farming country and Somerset's a farming county. So
absolutely.
I'm sure he feels very much at home. Lots of dairy cows and sheep.
Definitely. Match made in heaven. While we're talking about phenomenal performances for Somerset, James Rew became the first batsman to go to 1,000 runs during that game. I mean, what can we say about him that we haven't said before? Nothing, apparently. Let's move on.
But he's a very mature young man. He doesn't look mature, but he is, and he takes it as it comes. He doesn't get ahead of himself. He's got a good technique. I think he was unlucky the way he got out in the first innings.
Yeah.
Against Surrey, I'm not sure he nicked that. No, he's
not sure he nicked it. He smashed it straight up in the air.
Oh yeah.
No, sorry. The must be other innings here. Yeah.
I think he was out both times, wasn't he? Just pulled shots that got big on him that hit straight up in the air. I think. I'm trying to remember now. I think that's.
I thought he went for a big. Perhaps you're wrong.
Where are we? Chris, James Root. Yeah, it was a big pull. It went up in the air, caught by Folkes, and caught Law's Boyd Axon for 55 in the second. It was quite fun up in the media suite. Actually, I put the cat amongst the pigeons because I've got a great new system now. Ben has let me have a little corner of the media centre just to sit on my laptop so I can work from home in inverted commas, so I don't have to take the day off and I could just sit there beavering away. But they had the graphic ready and they said, all right, okay, how many runs does he need in the second innings to get 1,000? And I kind of messed it up a little bit by saying, oh, it's only 16, isn't it? I thought it was 21 or whatever it was, because some of the averages sites had his first innings score in there and some didn't. So thankfully they just ignored me and cracked on with what Polly had told them and what they'd previously determined was the magic number. I think it was 21 in the end, or 16. Yeah, I can't remember.
21,
yeah. Speaking of working from home, I had a lovely use of the bus shelter on Tuesday morning while you were back in the cabin, Gibbo. It was bloody windy up there.
Yeah, it can get windy up there. Hopefully we'll be back there for Friday.
Oh, good, yeah. In complete defiance of the BBC's health and safety, man. So don't tell him I was up there. I mean, there wasn't any kind of red tape and no alarms went off or anything while I was sent in there, and nobody in the high vis came to take me away. So it was very nice, and I thought I saw it being used a few more times by various spectators throughout the game. So it's kind of like a site of English heritage, I suppose. Now your bus shelter. Oh, what else have we got on the Surrey game? Yeah, I mean, Craigo was just. Didn't bowl badly by any stretch of the imagination, but he was just there or thereabouts all the time, and they just weren't nicking him. They weren't missing the straight ones.
He got a bit of his own back, though, didn't he, in the second innings? Because, I mean, Jamie...
Oh, when he was smashed... Yeah, he made 17 not out.
70,
yeah, in partnership with Shoaib Bashir. What did they put on for the last wicket? It was 51... 77 for the last wicket, so... Not too shabby. Oh, poor old Shoaib, he had it going over from Jamie, didn't he?
He did.
It was quite funny because I was sort of watching the last rights, as it were, and he hit him, and then that was it for the rest of the over. Bash was out towards square leg and kind of swishing at ones that were missing his off stump. And at the end of the over, Craig's had a word with him again, like, get into line, come on, you're playing for the Dragon here. 2 or 3 balls in, bash, Jamie gets him on the shoulder again, and then that's it, and he's off towards square leg again. But I mean, God, he's a 19-year-old number 11. You can't blame him, could you? I mean, I certainly know where I'd be if Jamie was trying to knock my block off with speeds getting up to 90 miles an hour. So a bit of hit and giggle from Craigo, a few lovely sixes into the Priory Bridge car park, but apart from that, 226 all out, and then we had we saw Tom Lammonby bowling, opening the bowling, which is, I don't know whether the tweets on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, I hit some sort of critical mass of people asking for Tom Lammonby to be bowling from the last 6 or 7 months, and all of a sudden that kind of triggered something at ECB headquarters that sent a missive down to Tom Abel to get him bowling. But whilst it is good to see Lammer's back bowling seam up again, it was, I don't know, I just thought it was a little bit off that we didn't open the bowler with Craig and Matt Henry. I know it's 1,000 to 1 shot, but if you don't roll the dice, it's not really going to come in. And I know they needed 28 to win. It's not going to happen, but I don't know. Was that the Somerset way to just kind of admit defeat?
I I thought Lammerby bowled quite well, and Ben Green bowled even better.
He did bowl well.
Yeah, so I wasn't too bothered about it. I mean, the last thing you want is for either Matt Henry or Craig Overton to pick up some sort of an injury bowling in a lost cause, which it undoubtedly was a lost cause. So I don't blame Tom Eggle. I thought that was fair enough. I thought the Surrey approach was a bit tedious.
Oh yeah, they took their time, didn't they?
They did take their time. Yeah, Rory Burns and Dom Sibley.
Yeah, 16 off 26 and 8 off 27 for Sibley, but 10 wicket wins a 10 wicket win, I guess. I did think Green bowled well in the first innings as well.
Yeah, he did. Didn't get enough overs, I think.
Yeah, because he seemed to be. He was. I mean, his first wicket, that catch from Lammerby at mid wicket, that one hander, that was a lovely grab. What else? Who else did he get? He got Jordan Clark caught behind, and Will Jacks on 99, a big booming drive caught in the gully by Tom Abel. 2 99s for Surrey in their first innings. Tom Latham and the aforementioned Will Jacks, which I suppose from a Schadenfreude, is that the right way? Schadenfreude point of view, that was the highlight of the game for Somerset. Or certainly their fans.
You've got to take your pleasure where you can, haven't you? So I had quite a lot of duties entertaining the Surrey committee, who were down in reasonable force, given that quite a number of them had to be back for the Test match later in the week. Yes, that was had some fun with the ice creams on the back of the 99s. The other highlight or interesting moment, I guess, of the game was when Jamie Overton smashed the window in the county room. So we were just turning to our desserts, after a long.
Oh, how lunch. The other half lived.
When there's this massive. Well, it sounded like a champagne cork had gone off, and of course it was the ball coming through at least the single glazing, if not the double glazing, and the couple who were sitting at that table right by the window had the shock of their lives. But that was quite something. And then when it rained in the afternoon, Jamie came over to inspect his handiwork and was having his picture taken by the smashed glass, and while the rest of us were kind of racing around trying to get an invoice to send him. So that was quite some shot, wasn't it?
Is it now going to be officially named the Overton window?
The Overton window, yeah.
Oh, I can't believe somebody else got there on Twitter before me. Never mind. What else? Yeah, I'll just go back to Ben Green. I thought he bowled in almost the way that he bowls in the T20s, which was he was bowling full, he was bowling straight. He was looking to get bowled or LBW and then just use little subtle variations to induce the full shot. A bit like, it was like, 2 of his wickets were caught, one was a regulation nick behind. But I like that he didn't try and go to the more conventional sort of 4-day method of bowling of just sort of back of a length outside off stump, trying to get a nick behind to the keeper or slip. So I like that he went to his skills, and his figures of 12.2 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 39. You're right, Gibbo. I think he could have bowled more, considering that Bashir bowled 21 overs, went 1 for 87. Craig went wicketless, 106 in 22. Obviously, I don't think he should have bowled more than Henry. 6 for 80 in 25 overs and 1 ball. But it's good to know that from a squad perspective that we have now got a sort of another guy who can come in and do a job in Championship cricket.
Yeah, he's no Lewis Gregory though.
He's not, but he's not a bad replacement. Not a bad second best, I guess. Anything more on the 10-wicket defeat to Surrey? Let's just see where we are in the table. I presume the ECB have had time to update it now, seeing as all the games finished on. What was it? The Gloucester one went on till Saturday, didn't it? But all the others should have finished on Friday.
If we're allowed to comment on the opposition, I thought that Jamie Smith looked a lovely batter to watch. Mm-hmm. I think he's. Everyone's talking about Ben Folkes, but Jamie Smith was. I think he's got a lot of potential as well.
Certainly does.
Yeah. And it's,
I like to look at Tom Laws as well. I thought Tom Laws bowled well.
Yeah.
And Gus Atkinson.
Atkinson's good, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show the difference in the two teams with the depth in bowling. They've got, I mean, what was they? Got Atkinson, Laws, Worrell, Overton, and Clark. 4 really, really good bowlers. And then, with our depleted seam attack, we had obviously Overton and Henry, and then, no disrespect to Greener and Casey, but it's apples and oranges, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, and they'd normally have had Sean Abbott in there as well, wouldn't they?
God, yeah.
So he was withdrawn, and Sam Curran.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've got quite a squad.
Yeah, which is probably why they are currently 17 points clear of Essex. So title's not done and dusted just yet. Somerset are 5th on 125 points. 81 points is how many Kent are on. So 44 behind is the relegation buffer as it stands. Something popped into my head about the Surrey game. It couldn't have been that important, so I will leave it in case it pops into my head again. But news filtering out during the week regarding the makeup of the Metro Bank Always Look on the Bright Side of Life One Day Cup side. I had a source in the week that told me that Ben Green was off to Welsh Fire. And then another source, Andy Cleve, in the week told me that Curtis Campher was joining, both of which turned out to be true. I suppose Green to the 100 to Welsh Fire is not entirely unexpected given the great campaign that he had. Not just in this year's Blast, but also in last year's Royal London. But Curtis Campher, the Irish international, was signed. He is going to be playing for the first 5 games, which I thought was a little bit strange, really, given that it's, we've got, 8 group games plus the quarterfinals.
Well, he's presumably going back to join up with the Irish squad for the World Cup, isn't he? He's a South African, really. He's not Irish. He's got an Irish grandmother, but he learned his cricket in South Africa and played for South Africa under 19s. So the Irish flag is a bit of a flag of convenience for him, but he looks to have a decent record. Yeah. I've never seen it, but given the distinctly callow nature of our One Day Cup squad, I think he's certainly worth having.
Yeah, I mean, I looked him up. All I saw is he's taken 4 wickets in 4 balls. I'm not sure if that was in a T20 or a 50 over cut. We can tell that we've done our journalistic due diligence before commenting on the signing of Curtis Campher. But yeah, you're right, Gibbo. That is pretty much down to not quite the bare bones. That's a little bit unfair on some of the guys who are turning out. But it is good to have some international experience in there. Especially when you realise or remember that last year we obviously had 2 test players in there in Matt Renshaw and Peter Siddle, who are, not going to be there this year. Siddle was never going to be there, and neither was Matt Henry. So I suppose it's a decent signing, I guess.
We'll see.
We will see. He wasn't. He didn't play in the game down at Devon yesterday. That's what they call a segue in the broadcasting game. Gibbo, I did go down to Bovey Tracy yesterday.
I expected you to.
In between the showers.
Devon did rather well, didn't they?
They did. I thought they were. I thought they were going to win at one stage because it was baffling because I don't understand why we have spent all the money on the drainage at the Cooper Associates County Ground. And yet, when it stops raining, it takes half an hour, 40 minutes to get the players out. Credit to the umpires. Ben Peverell was one down at Bovey yesterday. I can't remember who the other one was. But literally, as soon as it stopped raining, out you go, fellas. Get going.
Yeah, it's good.
So why can't they do that in professional cricket at a county ground instead of in a friendly match at a club ground? Is number one. But yeah, Devon made 190 odd, I think, in their 27 overs. I'll have to look it up now. I do need to name check the Devon. E.H. Hamilton. I should know his first name. He had 82 off 76. 30 for B Privet. I should know all these players' first age. 192 for 4 in 27 overs. Ned Leonard went for 35 off 7. Jack Brooks 26 off 6. Young JT Langridge. He's all arms and legs when he comes in, but he bowls looks to bowl at a decent pace. So hopefully see more of him in the One Day Cup. George Thomas picked up 2 for 39. Lewis Goldsworthy went for 13 off 2 overs. Shoaib Bashir got a bit of tonk. He went for 38 in his 4 overs, just taking the 1 wicket. And in reply, there was a horrendous cock-up in the first over. Andy Umeed ended up being run out as he was shaking hands with George Thomas mid-pitch. So he was run out for 2. And then Lewis Goldsworthy was bounced out by young Kazi Zamansky, who was formerly on Glamorgan's books. Gloved that one down to the gully. But guess who? Rue came in. James Rue came in at number 4. Just looked a different class to anybody else on the park. 80 off 57 balls. Sean Dixon looked in good touch as well. He made 38 off 26 and a lovely scoop over the wicketkeeper's head. Bartlett made 19 off 19. He looked a little bit scratchy early on, but got his levers going later on. Hit a couple of big sixes. And then it was left to old Ned Leonard to hit his first ball for 4 through the covers to seal what in the end was a comfortable victory for Somerset down at Devon. But yeah, it's a very good day. Sir Michael Barber was there. He was wandering around. I think he had to go quite early, so I don't think he stayed for the end. Tractor was there as well, as he always is. He had a nice pizza, I think, and I had pizza from the same place as well, which was very good. Went down my little girl, and all she wanted to do was take our little plastic bat and ball around the bat and play, rather than sitting watching Somerset in the pouring rain. So, yeah, credit to her, I suppose, for wanting to play rather than watch. But very enjoyable day. Well done to everybody at Bubby Tracy for putting that on. Somerset take on Cornwall tomorrow in the second of the National Counties Showcase Games. I think that was down at Truro, but if you do turn up at Truro Cricket Club and it's not at Truro Cricket Club, don't blame me, because it might not be at Truro. But do check your interwebs to find out where that game is going to be. So, bearing in mind that one of us is... I'm going to wait for Gibbo to unfreeze. Are you there, Gibbo?
Yep.
Bearing in mind that one of us has booked a holiday for the quarter-final and the semi-final, how do we... How do we think Somerset's chances? What do you think of Somerset's chances in these in the upcoming One Day Cup? Where are you going, Gibbo? Portugal again?
No. If it's a sort of holiday that I can leave halfway through, if in the unlikely event that Somerset gets the quarter or semi-final. But no, I mean, I don't really fancy their chances. It's a very, very young side. We've lost more players to the 100, I think, than any other county, barring Surrey.
I think we're tied with Hampshire.
Well, including Roelof van der Merwe, if you count him, it's 10 that we've lost, I think. So no, I don't think hopes are particularly high. And but it'll be fun to see, as it was last year, see what some of the young lads can do.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose in business terminology, Peter, they're always saying, what does success look like? And I suppose, what does success look like in the One Day Cup?
Well, you'd like to think we'd make it...
It looks like a yellow sleeve with a pink half trim. I mean, Pete, we have been asked about our thoughts on the new One Day shirt before I let Pete loose on what success looks like. I have to say, Peter is modelling.
They've sold one.
Peter is modelling it today, and I tell you what, it is on. I never know where I'm placing that on the sort of the Wanless scale of loudness of shirts. It's probably up there. It's probably a solid 9.5.
Yeah, I would say it's a bit more tasteless than most of the things I've been seen in. Others may not agree. It's distinctive, isn't it?
Yeah, there is that
for it.
What's the yellow in aid of? What's the yellow for?
Well, you'll like this, Gibbo. It is in aid of the flag of Somerset.
All right,
with its yellow background.
Yes, it does. Yeah,
it's got all our colours of recent shirts on it, hasn't it? And there was this thing in the blurb about it being inspired by the artist Mondrian. It's quite something. There's some interesting lines on the back. It's a shame as well, which anyway, there we go. It'll be in action on Friday.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, it was. Well, it had its debut at Bovey Tracing. It looks. It's kind of funny because you can't really make out the number on the back because the shirt is two-tone. So you're not. I think one's quite a pale side and the other one's quite black. So you're sort of struggling a little bit to make the numbers out. But overall, yeah, it's not quite. It's a thumbs down from me. I mean, I'm interested to sort of where they got. Let's go to Mondrian for inspiration rather than let's design something that looks good when you wear it down the pub.
Yeah. Well, I'm growing into it. I'm going to like it as I get used to it. But there we are. And what does success look like? It looks it looks got to be better than last year, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
just the one game.
Surely we can
campaign.
start better. Last year's first game, I came all the way down from Kent to Taunton.
Was that Notts, the first game?
And I was home before the game was due to finish.
Yeah.
We lost by that many.
Was that we got bowled out for about 100 and they knocked them off none or one down, something like that?
In 12 overs.
Yeah.
So we'll hopefully get off to a better start than that.
Well, we aren't playing Notts this year, so that definitely can't happen. We've got first game.
Warwickshire and Worcestershire.
And it's the Beer and Cider Festival, so if we do get absolutely pumped by 9 or 10 or 9 wickets or whatever it was, there'll be a fine selection of real ales and local ciders for you to drown your sorrows in. Yeah, what does success look like? I mean, I'm obviously expecting James Rue to score buckets of runs in that competition. Casey Aldridge as well, I think another year on him. I think looking at him, he looks like he could be a really good 50-over bowler.
If he's fit.
Jason said he thought he would be fit.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he was in the squad at Bovey, but he didn't play. He didn't play. Josh Davey didn't play. And who else didn't play?
Alfie Osborne.
Alfie didn't play. Yeah, he was one of the third one that didn't play. So him as well. He looks a better bowler than he did last year. Obviously, bowled pretty well against Hampshire. We got Bashir as well. So yeah, I mean, looking at the bowling attack, it looks not too bad. You got the experience of Jack Brooks in there, Josh Davey. Also, you got Goldsworthy with his left arm spin. You got Ned Leonard. So the bowling doesn't look too bad. And on paper, obviously Sean Dixon has been named as captain. After about 25 overs of the Devon innings yesterday, I suddenly thought maybe I should be keeping an eye on Sean Dixon to see how he's captaining the side. But I totally forgot. But from the 2 overs at the end I saw, I think he's he seems to be sort of the silent type. He's not a Tom Abel, come on, geeing him up every 5 minutes kind of guy. He seems to be sort of a bit sort of laid back, sort of taking things in and just making little adjustments rather than sort of the tub thumping that can go on with some captains. So yeah, 1 game, 1 win is all we can say for Sean Dixon's captaincy so far. A notable omission from the Royal London One Day Cup squad is Steve Davis. I mean, he is in the last year of his contract. I mean, I assume that I'd be very surprised if he got an extension to his contract. I think he's almost into sort of semi-retirement now. I think James Rue is number 1 with the gloves, so it didn't really seem like there was almost room for him in the squad, for want of a better turn of phrase.
Well, I don't know. We're not awash with experienced batters in the squad, are we? It's a bit of a mystery.
Yeah. He didn't do much last year,
No, he played, and obviously the batting up at Middlesex, up at Lords. I don't think he got. I think he got Norton 3 or something like that. So, yeah. I mean, I've seen a few people giving a bit of a stick on Twitter, but he has been a very, very good player for Somerset over a number of years, and he is. How old is he now? I'll check my spreadsheet. 37 years, 44. 37 years, 44 days. So he's coming up to the end of his career. So I don't want to say we wish him well in his retirement because he hasn't officially retired yet. But oh dear, we'll see. What else have we got on? Oh, I bumped into Sonny Baker. He was there supporting the lads. He reckoned to me that he probably could have made the last few games of the One Day Cup, but sort of the specialist said it's probably best just to just leave it for now and continue in the winter and come afresh next year. But he seemed in good spirits. He was a nice guy to talk to. I've finished my list.
What about tell me about JT Langridge? Have you played against him down at Devon?
No,
he's a Plymouth boy, isn't he?
No, I've not. And if I had it would probably be when he was about 14. I couldn't tell you. I mean, I did have a little look at. He's kind of all arms and legs when he runs in. I'm trying to think who I could compare him to. It's he's sort of all like this, big arms in L shapes when he runs in, and big high knees, and he gets a really nice sort of whip in his action. What were his figures? He bowled tidily. He certainly didn't disgrace himself. What were his figures? 4 overs, 1 for 33, and the wicket he got was caught by Ned Leonard in the deep. But yeah, I mean, I don't expect him to play first choice, but I think he'll be better for the experience of being in the squad, and he'll probably, if he plays 2 or 3 games towards the back end of the campaign, if it's pretty much done and dusted, and we've lost 6 out of 6 like we did last year. But I'm sure he'll get a game. He looked decent, good pace, a little bit raw, but he's 18, 19, so you can't expect him to be a finished article.
He's 17.
17? Oh god.
Yeah.
God, that's making you feel old then, isn't it? So who else we got in the squad then? Yeah, Alfie Ogborn, Shoaib Bashir, George Thomas, George Bartlett. I think I know that he's quite in the same scenario that Eddie Byron was in a couple of years ago when he was in the last year of his contract, had a really stinking One Day Cup, and that was it. He didn't play again. He's obviously been batting really well in Championship cricket as Bartlett. I've gone 37 minutes, but I without mentioning the fact that if George Bartlett keeps walking outside off stump in the way that he does, and then a decent bowler will just go wide of the crease and slab it into his pads and have him bowled or OBW, which is exactly what happens. Oh, Harry's joining us. 38 minutes late. How you doing, Harry? Oh, you're on mute. Harry's currently on tour with Annie Chave's Mystics down in deepest, darkest Cornwall. Oh, we've got 2 for the price of 1. Annie Chave is on again. Welcome, Annie Chave. You get a credit now.
Well, we can show him the real action, shall we?
Harry's there in his... have you just played? How did you get on?
Are we winning, Annie?
Harry just retired on 50.
Harry just retired on 50.
Done.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's lovely, yeah. Harry. Was it the vertigo? Is that why you had to retire him?
Well, I don't know why I had to retire, really.
Yeah, because we're bored of watching him bat, actually. And he had to retire on 50 yesterday as well.
So you're averaging 100 for the tour. So whereabouts are you then? Let's have a live update from deepest, darkest Cornwall before we jump into listeners' questions.
He's not retiring 50, is he?
No, he's not.
How's that fair? Not that I'm bitter or anything. Right, shall I come talk to you chats properly?
Oh, if you want, Harry, if you want. I would also.
What have I missed?
Well, pretty much everything. We talked about the Surrey game down at Devon yesterday, looking ahead to the One Day Cup, and various other.
We're going to win it, mate.
Well, Gibbo's booked holiday for the quarterfinals and the semi-finals, so it doesn't show your confidence.
Oh, I think we'll win the thing.
Is that based on any particular analytical? Oh, he's gone.
I think Curtis Camphor is the best signing in One Day Cup. Personally, I think he's a quality signing. A lot better than Bo Webster and some of the other people coming.
Oh yeah, who's he gone for to Essex? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, have there been any other sort of big overseas signings? I suppose they're all in the 100. Oh, it's sad news that Rashid Khan's pulled out the 100 because he's knackered after playing in the Major League Cricket. What a shame.
He's not coming into the One Day Cup as a batter then?
Who, Curtis Camphor?
No, Rashid Khan.
No, well, that'd be a coup, wouldn't it? If somebody just gave Rashid Khan a couple of weeks off and then signed him up for the One Day Cup.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? And you were up for most of the Surrey game, weren't you, Harry? What was it? Were you up there all 3 days?
Yeah.
I think you were. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? In a nutshell.
People have been critical, but Surrey are a very, very good team, and we did so well against Hampshire, the young guns, that some of the young guns could feel a bit hard done by for not getting an appearance. But Outfield was a bit probably his Achilles, and there's a few injury concerns, so I can understand them going back to the normal squad. But Surrey are a quality outfit. I think the main takeaway was Craig Oaken get some runs, first class, best of 40 all season. So for him to get his 70 odd, I know it was almost pointless at the end. We were never going to win the game, but just to see Craig whacking a few around the ground, we haven't seen that in red ball cricket for a long time. So to surpass his first class best of 40 not out of the season, I thought was a real positive. Otherwise pretty convincing loss.
Yeah, just a shame they're all going off to dress up as crisp packets for the next month.
Well, yeah, I didn't think.
Yeah, can you make sure Annie's not in earshot while we start talking about the other competition? Because she'll be definitely coming in off a long run.
I didn't think we did talk about that. I thought we were here for the Metro Bank One Day Cup.
Absolutely. The Metro Bank always look on the bright side of life for all London One Day Cup. Right, let's pop on to some listeners' questions then. One just in from I Don't Like Cricket, I Love It at Lord Lupin. How do you rate Tom Abel? I've had a Twitter dust up with someone who thinks he is not as good as Rue.
At the moment, he's not in the form that James Rue's in, but Tom Abel is a class act. He's just out of form and not got the runs. He's got a bit of a problem down the leg side. We've known him for a while, and county bowlers know that. He's working hard behind the scenes, and I think he will come good, but he's changing between formats, and we're not going to see him until September now. So hopefully, he gets some runs in September, and he could end up being the second top run scorer for us in the championship this year with a couple of unders in September. So wouldn't be too quick to criticise him. James Rue has saved his bacon a few times, but we've relied on him far too heavily, I think, the last couple of years. So it's nice to see someone else shouldering some responsibility.
Yeah, I don't think I can add much more to that. I mean, obviously, Tom Abel's got a very, very, very decent first-class career to look back on. James Rue is only in the infancy of his. Do I think potentially in the long run that James Rue will achieve more than Tom Abel? Probably, yes, I do, given the phenomenal start he's had. And if he carries on that trajectory, he's going to be playing for England in 2 or 3 years' time, maybe even earlier. Maybe, I don't know. Well, given I don't know if they want him to start basballing or whatever as you call it, but certainly in quote unquote normal times, he'd certainly be in the England selectors' eyes. So I don't know what your thoughts are, Gibber. You'd have seen pretty much all of their first class careers. What do you think?
I wouldn't have said there's much to choose between them. I think James Rue is a better player at this stage in his career than Tom was when he was 19. And there's probably greater potential there, but a bit like Tom, James Rue, as in the game against Surrey, you can find, he can play some daft shots sometimes and get himself out, but I'm sure he'll grow out of that. And I just hope that Tom Abel's problems are down to a loss of form rather than anything more deep-seated, because he hasn't really looked himself in the last few games. He hasn't looked like getting a big score. But, game after game after game, he's coming in the first half a dozen overs, and it is really, really difficult. Somerset have got to sort out some sort of workable opening partnership, because at the moment it just is not working, and it's no good persevering it indefinitely with Lammonby and Dixon, one or other of them or both of them getting out in the first half dozen overs. So, yeah, I think Tom Abel's a class act. James Rue has got potential, I think, to be even better.
Agreed.
Mr. President, anything more to
Yeah.
add?
No, nothing to add really, other than that, down the ages, we've seen some absolutely tremendous innings from Tom Abel, often when he's been the only one firing. So if he's the only one not firing for a little while, so be it. I'm confident he'll be back.
Yeah, I mean he's out of. You say he's out of form, but he's not looked at his best. But what did he get? I think he got half a dozen or so in the first innings. Yeah, 7 in the first innings, but he battled for his 46 in the second. So he's not in terrible. Don't know which end of the bat to hold, Nick, but by his own high standards, he's not quite up where he needs to be. One from John Hayes: is the one-day cup squad better? Or I'll actually read what he's written rather than try and interpret it for some bizarre reason. Do we have a better squad than we did for last year's one-day cup post decimation?
I was thinking about this quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, because we made the point earlier, Harry, that we obviously last year we had Renshaw and Siddle, 2 internationals in the one-day cup squad, which we don't have this year.
But they didn't do that much. You know what I mean? They were all right, but they weren't like gun and doing loads for us, those two. So I think Curtis Camper is a class act, and he could do a Renshaw job with the bat whilst doing a Siddle job with the ball. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's that good that he can do both facets, and he's young and keen and up for it, and hopefully less injury prone than Siddle. So I think he's quality. And we got the young talent. I'm excited to see JT Langridge come in for Alfie Ogborn. It looks like Jack Harding's not going to get any more goes as the left armour. Every club wants a left armour these days. And we've got so many bowling options with George Thomas, Josh Thomas, Sherb Bashir. There's loads of seniors you'll know about. And I think Ned Leonard will come good now. He's getting fit and get some games under his belt. He's quick. He's a quick bowler when he gets it right, and he can bat. So I like to see him come good. He will have to play the KC role if KC side strain keeps him out for a while. I think these younger guys are more ready for it now. Goldsworthy, Rue, they can be ready for it. Yes, Hamid daftly ran himself out of Bobby on Sunday, but I think he could have a decent campaign opening the batting, hopefully. And I'd like to see Dixon. I thought the order at Bobby Chase was a bit odd. I'm going to Truro tomorrow, if weather allows. And I'm hoping the batting order will be a bit... I don't know, I just think Rue and Dixon are your 2 best bats. And Bartlett. Why are those 3 hiding down at 5, 6 middle order? I'd like to see them shuffle up a little bit higher.
Yeah, Thomas and Umid open. So I mean, it's you don't know whether that's the final team, but you'd have thought with only 2 warm-up games, they would have been pretty ruthless with getting the top 6 as being the top 6 as quickly as possible and not messing around.
I think they're trying to get their chalk and cheese, aren't they? George Thomas whacked it in the Pakistan Junior Super League, and that's the complete opposite. I know he got those big hundreds against Murtagh, Roland Jones and co at Radlett against Middlesex, but they're the chalk and cheese, and then maybe they've got the better players in the middle order, fair enough, but you don't leave it too late. The likes of Bartlett, Rue and Dixon coming in. Dixon could be one of the best backers.
I would have thought Rue opening. Thomas seems a little bit more suited to the middle order than me, so Rue opening with Umid I think would be perfectly fine. I mean, Rue, although he's technically sound and you're not classing him in the same mould as a Will Smead who just tries smacking it out the park every ball, but I mean, Rue's an accumulator, but he is really good at finding the gaps, and he's got all the reverses and all the scoops and everything. So, it just seems funny to me that he's not higher up. And I think Dixon at 5 is probably about right. I'd probably like to see Bartlett at 4 and Dixon at 5, and a top 3 of Umid, Goldsworthy, and Rue, and then with Thomas down at 6 or 7.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Curtis Camp for 7.
Oh yeah, sorry, we caught that. I'm just looking at the card from Bobby Tracy on my phone and just wiggling it around. So yeah, stick Curtis Camphor in there wherever you like and drop everybody down 1.
Where does Curtis Camphor bat usually?
Yeah, middle order. It'd be 6 or 7. That's perfect, really. If he comes in, him and George Thomas could fight over number 6. I agree with Shep just said.
And you reckon Andy Umeed's going to do it, do you?
I'm not convinced. I think he'd be the first one to go, to be honest with you. The first one of that team doesn't get any runs to drop out. But I think they'll give him a chance. You can have one, Goldsworthy's not that aggressive. I'll say you can have one stoic player in there. But I think some of these wickets won't be great. It's quite a wet July. It's not going to be July, August now, aren't they? It's not going to be that flat 300. I think some of the one they kept games might be quite low scoring. And having solid opener won't be the worst idea for everyone else to play the shots around him. Rue will play a much more attacking role in the One Day Cup than in the Championship. I think you'll see his reverse sweeps and what he's known for doing in St Andrews club cricket. He won't be, batting real long like he does in Championship. Different format.
So Mead in last season's One Day Cup, 104 runs in 5 innings, average of 20.8 and a best of 56, striking at 66.
Yeah. Well, he's got a point to prove.
Yeah,
in fact, as we were running through these players for a second time, I was beginning to feel a bit more confident about the overall strength of the squad relative to last year, because there are many of them with a point to prove one way or another. Whereas perhaps for Renshaw and Siddle, they were Renshaw and Siddle, weren't they? All these players can make their name a little bit, and together, be quite a force for the club. So let's see.
Yeah, I think
we haven't also mentioned if there's any injuries. I bet Thomas Rue will come in. Josh Thomas might play if there's an injury. I bet Thomas Rue could come in to keep and bat at 7 or 8. Maybe there's a couple of injuries. You never know. There'll be call-ups to the other competition and there'll be injuries. So it won't be just the names we've mentioned across the whole competition.
I think a big thing as well is obviously going to be, well, number one is going to be the fielding. I think if they field anywhere near as well as they did in the Blast, I think there'll be it's going to be worth an extra 25, 30 runs every game, and also the team spirit. It's obviously that that group of players has been together for the whole of, not necessarily playing every game, but they will have been in and around the environment of that winning Blast team, and that cannot but not rub off on you. So who knows? But I think whatever happens, it cannot be as disastrous a campaign as it was in 2022, only winning the one game, and that was at the last attempt. Right. Kit Harris replied to my query about after Surrey's second innings, Ben Green and Tom Lamberby have now opened both the batting and the bowling for Somerset in Championship cricket. I put a query out to Dan. Dan said he'd have to go through every single Somerset scorecard to find out. I'm still waiting for the lazy bugger to do that, and he hasn't got back to me yet. But Kit Harris said he asked AWS Stats, which is Andrew Sampson, isn't it, the former TMS guy?
Yeah.
He reckons there have been 17 other instances for Somerset alone. I know that's for the most recent one.
Green and Lamberby have potentially done it for 17 other clubs. They've probably also done it for Exeter CC or Exeter School or
probably, yeah. Devon under 17s, Devon under 16s, Devon under 15s, etc., etc. But yeah, who was the most recent? I asked Kit if he wouldn't mind finding out who the most recent one for Somerset was. The only one I could find who may have been remotely possible was when Tim Groenewold went in as night watchman opening with Tom Abel at Notts in 2018, 2019, whenever it was. But not got back to me yet, so I...
Bowling as well then, that day, didn't he?
Sorry?
Did Abel open the bowling that day as well?
No, so not necessarily in the same game, but to have done it at some stage, yeah. So obviously, Green and Lambie haven't opened together this year, but they were doing it for a bit last year and a bit now and again. So looking forward to hearing from that. If you do know Twitterers, let us know. What else we got going? Mike Unwin says, "What is the panel's opinion on the shirt?" Well, we've covered that. Where else are we going? And I think that is that. Chris Payne has asked, has Davis left the club / retired from cricket? I think he was there for the T20 celebration. I'm pretty sure I heard Triggs mention his name when they all went on the stage, but
he ain't going to play again.
Yeah,
he might play games, but bless him, he's been a great cricketer over the years, and we wouldn't like to do him a disservice. Quality for Surrey and England, of course, but yeah, he's had his time. He'll be looking for his work after cricket. Yeah,
absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I remember what I was going to say earlier. Somebody on Twitter asked what the yellow in the shirt entailed, and then I think it was Ben tweeted probably Ben, he runs a Twitter account, tweeted a link to the Wikipedia page saying the flag of Somerset, and smack bang in the middle on the Wikipedia page of the flag of Somerset, does it describe the mythical beast as a what, Anthony?
A dragon.
A dragon. A dragon
Well, of course it's a
rampant,
bloody
no
dragon.
less. A dragon rampant, no less.
Someone could be updating that Wikipedia every other week just on the wind-up, mind you. Back and forth between Wyvern and Dragon.
I think Gibbo has better sources than Wikipedia and his knowledge of the...
It's always been a dragon ever since it was adopted in the late 19th century.
And the Wyvern is, of course, Wessex, from whence
Indeed
cometh
it is.
the confusion.
Symbol of Wessex. Yeah.
From whence cometh the confusion.
Yeah.
Lovely job, gents. We are 4 minutes ahead of our allotted close time, so unless we have any other business, shall we knock this on the head?
There's 4 balls left in the game, and I better go and shake hands in 4 balls' time. So
All right. How's it going, Harry? Are you close, or...?
we need 25 off the last over, but I'm not allowed back in until we lose all 9 wickets, so it ain't going to happen. So I've just taken my pads off. I think we're going to lose by about 15 runs. I had to be retired with 3 overs to go, which is a bit frustrating, but nice to be on the podcast with you all, of course.
Oh dear. You too, Harry. Thanks for the update. Do say hello to Annie for us. Gents, I'm sure we'll all wish Sean Dixon the best of luck on Friday at the Beer and Cider Festival. Best of luck to Sean Dixon and the guys wearing the dragon in the hideous new one-day shirt. Taking on Warwickshire at Taunton on Friday, and then Worcester at home on Sunday. It's the Beer and Cider Festival on Friday, and then you can indulge your 2-day hangover at the Food Festival against Worcestershire on Sunday, which is also my birthday, but I'm not going to tell you how old I'm going to be, but I will be there. Couldn't get in for hospitality, so she'll be lunching in the Ring of Bells.
If anyone's at Truro tomorrow, come say
Cheers,
hello.
Ian.
Cheers, everyone, and go and see Harry at Truro tomorrow. Good night, fellas. Ta-ra.
Thanks. See you.